guys are in Melbourne, back in Melbourne, right, for tonight's last show with Pestilence, yeah?
Yeah, mate, we're home for the home shows, so yeah, we're pumped. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. How's the tour been, man? How have the shows been?
Oh, it's been fantastic, man. Yeah, Pestilence are amazing, Bremelin are amazing, Soundworks has been great. Everyone's been yeah, it's been a good run of shows and yeah,
Yeah.
we're pretty thankful to be a part of it for sure.
Ah, that's awesome, man. So Recontinue, your fifth album, came out recently. How was it writing this one? Like, did you guys do anything different this time around?
Yeah, I suppose this time with the writing process we didn't get a chance to tour much on the back of the last album in 2020 Circles End. So this time it was more yeah being at home with the tools to write and record at home as opposed to being busy on the road and sort of fitting it in between. So we had a bit more time to focus in getting everything where we wanted it to be this time around. Hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. And how does writing work? Like, because obviously it's pretty complex music. Like, even the first track has like a drum and bass sounding drum beat going. Like, there's lots of different things going on. How
Yeah.
did like is one of you sort of in charge of orchestrating all that, or is it kind of a different process? Like, how's it
No,
work?
like everyone has ideas, everyone writes and has input and brings stuff in and adds stuff. So yeah, it really is a team effort. Everyone yeah bringing in all the different ideas, all the different influences, and all of us sort of exploring new territory as well as bringing in familiar stuff and trying to make it all work together and flow and as a real journey. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, cool, man. And then the production on Recontinue sounds great. It's real like beefy. Did you do something different with the producing and mastering this time around?
Yeah, like what we wanted to do this time round was really, try to go back as old school as possible and just get the sounds as we wanted them, as we were tracking them. Everything was tracked at home, other than the drums in the studio at Danger Tone.
Mhm.
So yeah, we really just got our sounds as we wanted them to hear, and then yeah, with the guitars we reamped them through the tube amps at Danger Tone. Tried to keep it, as honest and as real as possible without, the over, editing and manipulation that happens in a lot of production these days. So yeah, it was all about just capturing the moment and trying to get that sounding as good as possible. And then yeah, Troy McCosker did a great job with the mixing of it, and Drumberto did a great job with the mastering. So yeah, all in all, everyone sort of put it all together and made it all work. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
stoked.
that's cool. And this is the first independent album release for you guys, right? Like when I look through, it looked like the other ones were on labels, yeah?
No, well, really, like even since day one, since the first album, we've always been self-released. Since
Hmm.
the first album, we have had albums that we've licensed out to other labels,
Sure.
but we've
Okay.
always yeah sort of covered all the costs for recording everything. This time round, yeah, we've just done everything and haven't sub-licensed it out to anyone. Just yeah, the last album went really well. Every album's gone well, but this time we thought let's just do it all from home ourselves, and yeah, the response has been great so far. Mm.
Yeah, cool, man. Um, it's cool. I wouldn't mind going back to the early days of the
Sure.
band. What was it? What was it that kicked it all off back in the 90s? Like what first kind of sparked everything, you know?
Yeah, so back in the early days, like it was around about 1995 that myself and Scott were jamming with the drummer Raka. So prior to that, Raka and Mark and other lineups had existed since the early 90s of Alarum,
Hmm.
um, in a more death metal band that they just sort of transpired into sort of by the before 93, 94. There was a few different lineups. The band sort of came to a halt prior to that, and Matt was looking to jam with some other people. So that's when Scott and I started jamming with him. We did some covers of some familiar tunes. Um, and then, yeah, it was then decided at the end of 95 to get Alarum happening again with this lineup with myself and Scott and be more sort of progressive, technical, get some jazz. So basically by mid 96, we become a four piece. And from then on, we just continued on the path that we've been on. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
members have come and gone, but yeah, it still had that same, the same core of the progressive thrash and death with just throw in some fusion and just a whole heap of other progressive ideas, of which, yeah, we're still going, mate, almost 30 years on, so
Yeah, man. It's good.
enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something's working out if it's still together and working. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So I watched a video from 2006 when you covered Atheist's piece of time with Kelly on vocals. Like that must
Yeah.
have been crazy. How did that come together? That's
Oh
awesome.
man, yeah. So that was amazing. I suppose, yeah, we'd always, since that sort of, mid '90s, we'd always covered songs of Death, Atheist, Cynic, you know, all the bands that influenced us. We were sort of playing them live, back in the day around Australia. And yeah, I suppose got in contact with with Kelly, that we were heading over to do some shows over there with Necrophagist and Cattle Decapitation, and they were about to sort of get back together and do some reunion shows, and they'd heard that we were covering, covering the song in Australia. So yeah, we sent them some jams of us doing it, and Kelly was like, "Yeah, you guys are coming through Florida. I'll get up and bust out the song with you guys." So yeah,
Mm,
it was very exciting.
mm.
And it was in Tampa, so there was a whole heap of, you know, uh, old school death metal heads there, and yeah, man, we got up there, did it. It was unbelievable. Been in contact since, and he was awesome. And after that, yeah, they kicked off, and they're still going now. So it
Mm.
was pretty cool to be a part of that, the
Yeah,
reunion side of it for those guys. Yeah.
yeah, man, that's cool.
Mm.
Um, you played some huge tours and supports over the years. Like, are there any shows that really sort of stick out in your memory that's like, kind of special for some reason?
Yeah, there's lots, man. That look at the moment. Yeah, this run of shows with Pestilence is definitely up there. One of the main influences from way back in the day, and
Mm,
they've been unbelievable live, cool
yeah,
people. The show with Kelly, that whole tour with Necrophagous Asses, Neuraxis Cattle Decapitation. We did a Prog Power Europe with Cynic. So yeah, look,
mm,
whether they're those shows with our inspirations, or all the Australian metal from the Brain shows, and shows around Australia, like each shows, it's special for us that we get to do it and share it with people, and we love every moment, man. It's
yeah,
all
that's
fun.
cool. Yeah.
Mm.
So the levitation hex, something you're doing with Scott from Alarum as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Are the last album was 2016. Do you think we'll hear any more from you guys?
Yeah, look, who knows? It'll be nice to at the moment. Yeah, that it's kind of there's not much happening there. Everyone's quite busy doing other stuff at the moment, and there's family, and
Hmm.
but yeah, there's never say never. Let's put it that way. So
Yeah, cool,
hopefully,
man. Yeah,
yeah.
nice. And what have you been listening to lately? Are there any like fusion prog things we should be listening to?
And any new sort of stuff?
Yeah,
Look, mate, the last 9 months have been pretty sort of busy finishing off this album.
yeah.
Um, look, yeah. Been listening, sort of went backwards and been down a bit of a rabbit hole of Alan Parsons and stuff like that in the last few months. But yeah, look, all the guys, everyone's always listening to the different stuff and putting us onto new stuff. So I mean, yeah, there's nothing off the top of the head right now. It's my
Yeah.
bones a bit fried actually from last
No,
week.
fair enough, man. Yeah, yeah. So so yeah, tonight, last big show, like
Yeah.
going out with a bang, I imagine.
Oh mate, yeah,
Was
we're
there?
absolutely pumped. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got some new tunes, we've got some old tunes. Yeah, and really looking forward to basically, to getting into Max Watts. That was, where I did my first show ever was at Max Watts with Alarum. So look, to be back there still almost 30 years old, man, it's a celebration, and to get to do it with a Bremelin and Pestilence, and yeah, man, pumped.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And so what's next for Alarum? Obviously, you're coming up 30 years, new album's out. Are you planning on the next one? Like what's kind of in
Yeah,
mind?
so look,
Yeah,
after this run of shows, we've got an Adelaide launch show, a Melbourne launch show at the start of December.
cool.
And then over the summer, yeah, we'll be working on writing and demoing some new stuff. We've still got lots of ideas that weren't on Recontinue that we can play around with, and I suppose the idea is to keep the momentum going, get back out and do more shows early next year, and work on getting back overseas while we work on getting the new album, done and out within, you know, we're going to say not 9 years like previous albums. The last one we've managed to do in 4, so we want to keep that momentum rolling and get another one out as soon as possible as well.
Yeah, nice, man. Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool. Sweet. Pal, thanks heaps for your time, man. I'm looking forward to yeah, hearing what comes next, man. And
yeah,
yeah,
man. Look, appreciate your support and your time as well, man. Good
thanks,
chatting.
man. Leon, hello again, man. We last spoke about 3 years ago. How's it
We
doing?
definitely did.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that excellent room of yours full of all those awesome collectibles.
Yeah, cheers. So obviously Orpheus Omega's still going very strong, yeah?
100%, or at least I hope we are.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. So Emberglow the album came out July this year, yeah?
Sure did. We have been so stoked that it's finally out. Um, it's probably the first album that I helped write with the band before we did the portraits thing. We actually wrote this one before that,
Mm,
and yeah, it was like kind of my debut of like, hey, look at what I can help write in this band in this style, and it was really really well welcomed and accepted, and lots was thrown in the bin also, as writing always does. But yeah, it was very very exciting. So I was really glad to be part of the project.
yeah, that's cool, man. So what kind of change in the sound do you think this album has? Like what sort of specific things are you adding, you know?
Um, I feel like we just went um even wider with all of our influences.
Mm,
I really like a lot of I guess a little bit more proggy kind of music compared to a lot of the rest of the band. So, you know, say keyboard ideas or anything like that, amped up. Some of our songs, especially the ones I helped out with, ended up having a lot more of, rather than, oh yeah, verse, chorus. I'm like, what if we just put a solo here? What if we did a blank here? And,
mm,
you know, started moving away from the standard style structures a lot of songs tend to have, and then just amped it up with tons and tons and tons and tons of keyboard layers. Or what if you add a, fourth or fifth guitars to this section, or, really amp it up and really up the production. But then at the end of the day, the biggest always takeaway is cool. How well does this transition live? Because that's what we want our music to be primarily focused on, is
mhm.
a good live experience. So that was the key. That was always the takeaway. So as much as fun we had writing, we're always like, cool. Now everybody, imagine we're in a mosh pit right now. What parts of this song are boring? And then there were parts where we're like, this really cool exploration section, kill it. Everyone's
Mhm.
gonna fall asleep. We don't want that.
Yeah, fair enough. So how was the recording process? Was that different at all this time?
Um, no, it was really, really fun, very streamlined. We went through Chris, our guitarist and lead singer, through his studio called Monolith Studios,
Hmm.
um, just up in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. If anyone is ever out there looking to record an album, EP, single, anything. Um, yeah, really fun process. Works out of his house, so it's a very casual environment. He's got a couple of cats that come and hang out with us as we record, which is always a fun time. Yeah, just really relaxing, really chill. Our keyboardist at the time, Kez, were, I think, through the recording process, stayed on Chris's couch for the week and just went, "Oh, cool." As everybody like changed something, wrote something, recorded something, Kez would just like go off into the other room where their computer was, fiddle around, play with ideas, and then come back with a USB stick going, "I've got new things for you. Here you
Hmm.
go." So it was all like a madhouse with recording, but really, really efficient and really, really fun.
Hmm. Yeah, cool. And this one came out through Wormhole Death. Yeah, how'd you get together with them?
We just kind of like threw nets out um, around the world, and waited to see what kind of came back. And Wormhole were, um, from day dot, were really enthusiastic to work with us. We were enthusiastic to work with them, and yeah, just kind of really nice match. And yeah, jumped on board.
Hmm.
Really happy. It's and it's a very good, like a 50-50 kind of split kind of company, where we're able to like contribute, they're able to contribute. They're not very controlling. They're like, no, 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 these are the dates that work for you. Cool, we'll make it work. And yeah, very, very fun to work with. Their distribution around the world's been fantastic. I think we're like, they're just reaching out to Japan in the next month or so. So, you know, any Japanese listeners out there, keep your eyes peeled. Our music's going to be coming to you in the next month.
Yeah, cool. And I saw you've had some like splatter kind of editions and stuff, right? That all looks pretty cool.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
100%. Oh yeah, you probably can't see it through the video. There's one up here in my.
Oh
I've
yeah,
put it
sure.
up on my wall at the moment.
Yeah, cool.
Um, yeah, I've got all of the Orpheus albums that I've been part of up here.
Yeah,
It's
nice.
fun. It's
That's
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
We did that through an Aussie company called Anti Vinyl Vinyl Club,
Mm.
which unfortunately we were the last album that they printed before they went kaput.
Oh wow.
So they're unfortunately not a thing anymore. But they did a lot of their printing through Zenith,
Oh yeah,
which is
yeah.
located in Brunswick in Melbourne. So, anyone wants really cool vinyl and decent pricing and all of that kind of stuff, Zenith Records did a really good job. Otherwise, if there is any kind of back catalog for Anti Vinyl Vinyl Club or AVVC, go check it out because they've done fantastic work with us.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So Orpheus recently played the final Hell on the Bay. Yeah, how was that? That must have been a killer gig.
Oh, that was so much fun and a lot less motion sickness than I thought would happen on a metal boat. um, it was just heaps and heaps of fun. It's a very crowded boat environment, but yeah, just very interesting. Very unique kind of gigging experience that is done around Melbourne, and I hope, even though it is the last one, I hope something really interesting, cool, and unique and bespoke takes that mantle. Um, we actually also, in between then and now, we've also played a brand new festival that popped up, which
Mm.
was also brand new and bespoke. So, there you go. People are already doing new fantastic things.
Yeah. Is that the Metal to the Max you're talking about?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
a spin out, man. Like Mad
yeah,
Max
yeah.
compound. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool. That was what, 2 weeks or so ago. That was out in Silverton, which is just outside Broken Hill, which is 3 hours past Mildura for anyone in Victoria listening. Um, it's essentially where they filmed the original two Mad Max films from the, what was it, late 70s, early 80s. That those original films were filmed there, out in the desert, and all of the old, say, props and location and everything that have survived this long are still sitting there. And they've got a compound full of just everything is just kind of dumped there and set up. So they hold gigs and festivals and events there. Um, and Ash from Firestorm, he's the one who's organized this festival. He has done an absolutely phenomenal job. It was a 2-day full back-to-back metal festival, single stage, so you don't miss anything. And it's just bands from all over Australia coming in and playing their heart out, and it was incredible. They had fire twirlers, they had camping, they had, you know, food trucks and that kind of thing. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I imagine a 2-day festival, like were you able to hang around and watch any other bands after you guys played? Like,
Yeah, we did for a bit. Unfortunately, we had to work on Monday, so I had to
no.
hightail it back, which
Yeah.
hurt my soul a little bit. But some of the other bands that we checked out that were really, really cool, Antimasia, Armored Earth, Witch Grinder were headlining the festival. Hidden Intent were huge, and there were heaps and heaps of others. And the one I have unfortunately missed, and really good mates with the guys, Evocatus played on the Sunday. They were also really cool, and we also got to play with them on Hell on the Bay. So seen them a bit.
Yeah.
They're a really good time too.
Yeah, nice, man. What else have you been listening to lately? Like what kind of stuff?
Um, our good friend and shredding extraordinaire Andy Gillian has just released a new album. I have been spinning that for the last week almost daily. It is incredible. It's very, very dense music.
Hmm.
He is famous for being the guitarist and primary writer for Mors Principum Est, which is the Finnish melodic death metal
Hmm.
extraordinary band. Him and them broke up a couple of years ago, and since then he goes, well, you know what? I'm gonna make something just as good, if not better, on my own, and has been doing that. And this is his third solo album now. Just got released last Friday. Highly recommend. Beyond that, I've been waiting 12 years for Winter Sun's Time 2 album to come out, so that has been incredible. Highly recommend that one. Also, beyond that, lots. I can chat to you forever about what I'm listening to at the moment.
Yeah,
How long have
cool.
you got?
Yeah, no, that's cool. So you got a tour coming up with Carmeria, right?
Oh,
That's
100%.
that's cool. I love their new albums, Tragedy D'Amour, and you guys Ember Glow. So Embers of Tragedy. It's got a nice ring to it. Like
I know, right? It's
I thought
cool.
it might
Cool
be
little name.
I thought it might be a third band at first. I was like, oh, that's a cool name, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. It's good.
Now we've been excited to put on this tour together with them. They're really really cool guys, and unfortunately I've never met them before, like pairing up for this tour. So
All right.
I honestly just cannot wait to hang out with them for a couple of weeks in a row and show Australia what we've got.
Yeah.
And also their new album Tragedy or More is another one that I've been spinning quite a lot in the last couple of months too. It's yeah, really really cool. Imagine yeah, that gothic hard rock to metal vibe, but super super catchy. Half of their songs are absolute earworms just off one listen. So
Hmm.
if you're not if you're susceptible to earworms, ones you'll just keep humming over and over again, this one may do it to you.
Yeah, nice. So Orpheus Omega obviously has a bit of a back catalogue now to draw from, but people are going to hear a lot from the new one, hopefully, right? Like that's
Oh,
good
I
stuff.
hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're showcasing quite a lot of the new album on this new tour, especially being, straight off the bat album tour. It'd
Mm,
be silly not to. Um, so yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we've crafted a lot of the songs for that live experience. The ones we've picked are the ones that we find are just going to work really well in that live show, and that's how we craft everything. We, always start with a bang, end with something that gets people moving. This one in the middle will, like everyone can simmer down a little bit and relax. But then the one after that, everyone's doing circle pits, and that one they're doing a wall of death. And we've got it all. We've got all the movements. Everybody, bring out your yoga mats. We're going
mhm.
full.
Yeah, nice, mate. Cool. Awesome. Look, Leon, thanks heaps for your time, man. Links below to tickets, everyone. Check out Orpheus Omega in a lot of Australia. It's cool, man. It's gonna be fun.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, my guy.
Cool.
Have a
Have a
great
good
night.
one. So, Tragedy d'Amour, the album came out in August. Your second full length. How was it writing this one compared to Advene, the 2022 one?
Yeah, man, it was really cool. Like Advene took so long to put together, and I think a lot of um what we learned from that process was how to streamline everything.
Yeah.
And so, that's why we were able to put this album out in like half the time.
Mm,
So yeah, I think, because Advene was sort of constructed over 6 years, I felt like there were a lot of different periods of time that kind of contributed to it. Whereas
mm,
with Tragedy D'Amour, it was, I think a much more intentional vision. I think there was a much more, cohesive, um, piece of material really, because I think we went into it with the knowledge of what we were looking to do, and the intention was there through the songwriting process. And I think, it was a much easier process. I think, through the Advene era, we had a lot of lineup changes. There were a lot of obstacles that kind of got in the way of us putting an album out. And I think, we managed to avoid that this time around.
yeah, cool, man. There's lots of parts to your music. How does it all come together? Like, is someone sort of in charge of composing, or does it happen differently to that? Like, what's the go?
Yeah, man. So I typically do the bulk of the songwriting. So I'm sort of listed as principal songwriter and producer.
Mhm.
So I'll often come up with pretty much complete demos that I'll pitch to the band. The other guys are really good songwriters as well, and they'll often sort of come up with sort of instrumentals, or they might come up with like a motif and a chord progression that will inspire me to kind of build the song around and all that kind of stuff. So it whilst I do take on a bulk of that sort of creative stuff, it is still like quite a collaborative process.
Oh, yeah, cool, man. And how's the recording work for you guys? Was this one put together differently that way?
Yeah, man. Well, so yeah, this was the first album I've produced for the band, the
Oh,
first
cool.
album I've ever produced, really. So yeah, I think, a lot of it was self-directed. I think, we've all got our own home studios, and so in terms of the recording process, everything was done remotely. Like, Jerry recorded the guitars at his, Emma recorded the bass at hers, like all that kind of stuff. So, it was the recording part of it was probably the easy part. And that was actually something that was similar to how we did Advene. The only difference really being that I did vocal recording. So for Advene, I did vocal recording down in Wollongong with Lord Tim, who produced the first record. And then for this album, I got my sort of good friend, who's also a bandmate of mine in another band that I perform in called Bad Moon Born, who's a wonderful producer, and he actually mixed this album, and I did the vocal production with him. And so, yeah, I mean, the process of recording was quite similar to Advene. But I feel like the arranging and the producing of it was a lot different.
Yeah, cool. This album was reviewed very positively in Metal Hammer, yeah? Like that's amazing. And with Nightwish on the cover as well, you guys must have been chuffed, eh?
Dude, I've got a copy of it. Like I ordered it online as soon as I saw that. It grew up reading Metal Hammer, and that was a real surprise. Like we had no idea that was coming. I think we were talking about who was going to do what in terms of keeping tabs on the press for the record. And so I put my hand up to kind of collate the reviews. And so, I was late one night, I was sort of Googling Carmeria Tragedy to more reviews and putting the list together of everything that had come out, and Metal Hammer popped up. And I kind of went, surely not, and then did a bit more digging. And then, funnily enough, it was there. And so, yeah, man, that felt like a real achievement. For me as a songwriter, like and a fledgling producer, to have this album reviewed in Metal Hammer, and like all the guys, like similar, we all grew up reading that mag, so it was super cool to be featured in it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you play what, symphonic power goth metal, I guess, right? Is that sort
Bro,
of
that's it in a nutshell, really.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's sort of I think our two primary genres are symphonic metal and gothic rock.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, and I think the first album was a lot more heavy on the symphonic metal side, and this album was a lot more in that gothic rock vein. But yeah, those are our two primary genres.
Cool. What sort of bands do you sort of collectively listen to as a band? Are there any bands where everyone can go, yeah, that sound or that sort of thing we all get,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so Camelot's the big one. They're huge for us. Nightwish as well, of course, and Him. Like those are sort of the big three. And then we've also all got our own influences like Opeth, Children of Bodom, Dark Tranquillity, Winter Sun. And I feel like a lot of that kind of stuff comes into the music. I feel like Jerry's a huge power metal fan, and like one of his favorite bands is like Stratovarius, right? So when it comes to guitar work for songs that he puts together, there's a lot of that, fast-paced power metal influence, which I think, that there was, I think, one song on the first album that particularly leaned into that, and then two tracks on this album that I think featured more of that style. Right. So yeah, man, I feel like, overall the big three are like, Nightwish, Camelot, and Him, but our various other personal influences kind of bleed into it as well.
Yeah, sure, man. Does your goth rock interests sway towards The Cure at all? Are you into that? Like,
not particularly for me.
Nice.
For the other guys, yeah, for sure. In terms of other like goth rock bands, like Mish, apart from being like one of the biggest Him fans, is also super into like Typo Negative, and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I think not like personally for me, I'm not hugely personally inspired by sort of like those sort of like 80s 90s era goth bands. But yeah, man, like I think what they did for music was incredible. It just doesn't particularly speak to me.
Yeah, that's common.
Yeah.
Tell us about Bad Moon Born. You're saying you do vocals for that band as well, hey?
Yeah, man. So Bad Moon Born, it's like an alt hard rock band. Very different from Carmeria. Band have been around for probably in excess of 10 years. I've been with them for about 5 years. And it was sort of like a real 90s rock sound originally with the original singer, and then I came on board. We kind of went through a bit of a direction change and sort of went into that modern metalcore vein for a couple of years. And then released 5 singles and a couple of covers, and now we're sort of just in the process of figuring out what we want to do personally. I think we're probably going to go back into a more rock direction and sort of back to those roots, because that's really what we sort of enjoy and what we feel we do well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So Carmeria, am I saying that right? Carmeria?
Yeah,
Good, good.
yeah.
Okay. So you got a tour coming up with Orpheus Omega, yeah? The Embers of Tragedy. I see the poster behind you there. That's cool.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're playing Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra. Are you playing anywhere you haven't played before on this tour?
Yeah, different venues for sure. Like never played like Carmeria's never played Max Watts in Melbourne. But yeah, like Sydney and Canberra, we've played sort of Crowbar and the Basement before, which will be really cool to visit, those venues again, and really looking forward to performing at Max Watts for the first time in Melbourne. There was a plan to do like, a northern leg up in Brisbane and stuff like that, but it just sort of never eventuated. But really looking forward to getting on the road again, man, because Carmeria isn't a band that performs a lot. So I think, this is going to be our first time playing interstate in like 3 years. So yeah, looking forward to that. And yeah, that kicks off, I think, next weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think the 16th is the Melbourne show. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And then after the tour, what's next for Carmeria? Like, are you sort of, is there a future album in mind or other shows or anything? Like, what's
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sort of currently in the middle of finalizing the mix for a mini acoustic EP called Trinity, Volume 1, which is one new original, one new cover, and an acoustic rendition of like one of our more popular songs. So that'll be coming out around January. We did January, February, I think, is the projected release for that, and we did a crowdfunding campaign for Tragedy D'Amour, and Trinity was, included as a free upgrade. So the people who contributed to the campaign will be getting it around Christmas.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, and then yeah, dude. And then following on from that, yeah, like I've already put together the concept for album 3, and we're currently in the writing process. I think that the goal now that we've really locked down our production process is to try and get music out a lot faster. So we're currently eyeing like a sort of Q2 2026 release for album 3. Don't quote me on that because it's always flexible and you don't know what's going to come up, but that's the goal.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man. Cool. Awesome. Well, look, have fun on the road, man. I'm sure it'll be fun to be back on stage, and yeah, it'll be good to hear what comes next, man. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much, dude. Cheers.
One night, Nosferatu, Quasimodo, one is vampire, the other hunchback. Two dangerous, deadly, destroyers of life. Experience 2 of cinema's greats together on the big screen with all new black metal scores by Demon. Nosferatu 100, Quasimodo 100, two terrors, one night.